Hey, welcome to Beyond Design. So, continuing our series on using rotoscoping inside After Effects. Now, this is a creative way of using rotoscoping for doing beauty work. Now, what does it mean by doing beauty work? Let me first show you the original footage. So, I'll just turn this thing on, and you'll see her skin has many blemishes all over on her cheeks, on her forehead, on her nose, and all that. And this is something that we need to remove. There are two ways of removing this. Number one technique of removing this is using your makeup on set. Second is by doing something called as digital makeup, the way we have done it over here. Also, she has a mole which we have to remove, but this is something that we'll cover in a different lecture altogether. But I would like if you guys can actually try this and let me know how you have done this. So this is what we need to achieve. Even if you look, we have changed the color of the lipstick because it was quite dull, so we just wanted it to match with the entire cinematic experience of this footage. So we have done some color correction and all that, using rotoscoping and curves. So we'll be seeing all this. And whenever you have a task like this and you have to do something like a beauty work overall, please understand, analyze your footage. That's very important, because most of the time whenever we have this kind of beauty work to be done inside your movie or inside a scene altogether, we do a lot of tracking. So let's head back to a file in which we can start afresh. So there is a file over here which is comparatively build it up. The reason why I have built it up and kept it over here is so that I can skip, because it's a tutorial. I cannot sit and show you everything that we have done over here. So we'll be skipping and we'll be directly going to the end result and how to achieve that. But for achieving that end result, there are certain steps that we need to take. So the first thing that we'll do now is analyze the footage. So let me just turn the footage on and let me just analyze the footage. So if you just see this footage over here, always look for the camera movement, the movement of the object that we need to digital makeup on or maybe do color correction on. So if you look at the footage, there are three things that's happening. The lady's face is changing position, the lady's face is changing the rotation, and due to a small zoom in the camera, her face is scaling up. So now when we track, remember the last time when we tracked only the position of the tree. But this time we need to track the position, the rotation, and the scale. And for doing this, always, let me just pause this. One more thing that you guys need to remember is you have to use a tracker point which does not animate. So you cannot take her eyes, you cannot take her lips, you cannot take her nose, because because of breathing, there may be certain deformation which are happening over there. You cannot take the pupil, but there are other things that we can take. And I saw when I analyzed the footage, the rear of her eyebrows are not moving much. I mean, they're not deforming much. They're moving, but they're not deforming much. So I decided, let's take these 2 points, maybe the point over here and the point over here, for taking the rotation, the scale, and the position. So now what we'll do is, let's select the footage. Let me turn the top footage off, go to tracker and say track motion. But this time when we say track motion, we are not just tracking the position, but we are tracking the rotation. Now, once you turn this thing on, you'll see there is another tracker point that will get added over here for analyzing the rotation in the pixels. Same way, we'll also have scale turned on, but there is no additional tracker because 2 trackers are more than enough for finding the position, rotation, and the scale. So I'll just place this tracker on the rear of our eyebrow and also over here. Sorry, undo this. And I'll just place it over here. And now we'll say analyze. Because we're on frame number 0, we have to just say analyze forward and let this thing get analyzed. And now we have got the motion of the tracker because the frames were not too much and the complication was not that too much. So it happened in a zip, but sometimes we may also need to sit and do frame by frame analyzation, and that's something that we'll cover in the coming lecture. But this is what we have right now. So now we know once the tracking has been done, you have to apply this motion to a null. So just right click, go to new, take a null, and I'll name the null as face track. And I already have a face track over here. So I'll say face track new. And now I'll say edit target. I'll select the face track new. I'll say OK. And I'll say apply. And definitely it will ask me what positions do you want. I'll say I need the X and Y position. I just don't need the X or Y. I need both of them. And just say OK over here. So once you do this, now you'll see your null has got properly tracked. And if you click on the null and press U on the keyboard, you will see there is a position, rotation, and scale. Sorry, position, scale, and rotation, which are all keyed with the right information. So this is now what we can use for parenting our rotoscopes. But in this tutorial, I'm just deleting this because I already have one over here which is ready. And this is what I'll be utilizing for doing our rotoscoping. Now see what I'll do. I'll duplicate the footage. And now on this, I'll make a new solid. Just choose a color for the solid, whatever you require. I have just taken this blue color. I'll say OK, and I'll say OK. I'll get this thing right above the footage. And first thing that I'll rotoscope, and that's the thing that I'll show you in this tutorial. Rest I'll just run you through. So we'll be rotoscoping the forehead. So let's name this forehead mask. And let me turn this layer off the way we normally do. And just zoom in, frame number 0. Take your pen tool and start putting points for the forehead. See to it, you're not taking the eyebrow. Otherwise that will get blurred and that will look really bad. And just be careful when you're doing this. As far as possible, try to use Bezier than adding more points. I'm also avoiding the hairline over here. I can just adjust this. Get this thing right. Need not be a very accurate curve to curve roto because we'll be doing a lot of feathering in this. So just align this, get this thing right. And then finally we'll add it here. And we'll just adjust the points. And this is what we have done. Let me just adjust this curve over here. Let me adjust this curve over here. Okay, so that looks good. Let me align this properly. And now we'll parent this thing to the face track. So what happens now is, once you play this, see this? The motion of your roto is flying with your face track. But remember one thing, there is a perspective shift, and specifically if you look at this region over here, let me take the selection tool. Can you see this region over here? Just concentrate on that. Can you see? Suddenly now the roto is jumping on the hair. So this indicates that we need to now do shape animation inside our rotoscope. So let's do that now. So let's go over here. Let's press M on the keyboard and let's mask the path. And now let's go further till the last frame and I'll just make an adjustment over here. Sorry. Let's make an adjustment to this point. Also this one over here, I can just quickly adjust. Get this thing aligned properly. Check any other place where you are losing the rotor. Yeah, this is where we're losing the rotor. Maybe I can just adjust this a bit, like this. And even over here, I can just adjust this a bit so that the hair gets omitted. And get this thing properly managed. And now you can come over here, just play this and check. There is still some overlapping happening over here. So I'll just adjust this to over here. And I think now we are good to go. So this is how we have tracked our forehead mask, and we have also done the shape animation. Maybe I can just align this thing a bit more. And this looks good. Good to go. Now what we'll be doing? And this is where the fun starts. So let's just zoom out and turn the forehead mask on. You can see it's already been added over there. And we have already duplicated this footage. So in this footage, I'll say take the alpha from the forehead mask. So now if you just solo this, you can see only the forehead mask. And now on this, you can go to effects and you can add a smart blur. You can use any blur. Smart blur is something that I'll prefer over here in this scene. And you can see right away it has reduced all these blemishes and all that. So if you look at the footage, you can see how this is gone down. But the problem that has happened over here, it may be the effect may be a little too much. So maybe you can just take it to 0.5 or something, or maybe 1 or something like that. Or you can take it to 1.5. Don't worry, even if the detail is lost, we'll be retaining the skin detail back by using sharpening and all that. So let's keep it to 2. I think this thing should be good enough. But then you have a very thick transition which is happening over here, and that is because there is no feathering in the rotoscope. So simple, just go to your rotoscope, the mask that you have used over here, and I'll say Control Shift H because I don't want to see the curves. Press F on the keyboard and just add a feather of maybe 5 pixels so that the blending happens proper with the skin. And there is like a transition which is there, otherwise it's going to be very sharp and I don't want that sharpness to be there. So this is what we did, and let me just zoom out now. And now if you play this, so what you have done is you have removed the blemish from the top of the forehead. Maybe you can reduce it even more. You can go down, you can make it maybe 5. Okay, so this is what we get. Let's play this. And we have beautified the forehead, no matter it's looking very flat right now. But as I said, we'll be adding some things over here, noises and all that. So for retaining back the skin detail. But this is what we did for the forehead. Same way you're supposed to go further and do it for every other part of the face. Hope that's clear with you. And I want to show you a special part that I have beautified. That's basically this mouth region. Okay, generally this is how people can do rotoscoping is they can break apart the upper lip, break down the lower lip, and then they can rotoscope the lips separately. But there is a trick that I have done over here. Let me just duplicate the footage once again and drag it right below this shape that I already have. And this shape, let me turn this solo off so that we can see the shape. This shape will look simple to you. What I've done is I've basically made a shape for the entire mouth, not the upper separate and the down separate, because I don't want the line to happen over here, the blending to happen over here. Then I'll have to end up and add up more feathering and all that. So that's something that I needed to avoid. So what I did is I made a shape for the entire mouth, and inside the same shape I have added another shape. Let me just say Control Shift H. There is lips over here. Can you see that? Which I have rotoscope. And basically I'll say this new mask that I've added over here, simply to subtract. So what we get over here is a subtraction over here. So you'll be saying, what's the use of this now? Okay, the use of this particular shape is now definitely what I can do is I can go to my previous footage, take the smart blur, copy this, get it and paste it on this area. Okay, now the entire footage is affecting. That's because we have to say take the mask from the upper one. I don't know why it's not happening. Okay, let me just turn this off and let me come back and say, hope it's taking it. It's not taking it. Just say no crack mat right now. Okay, maybe some trouble. Let me just duplicate this. Get this thing here. Yeah, now it's taking it. There's some refresh issue. And then I can just say take the smart blur, copy this and paste it on this area. So even this area gets smoothened. Okay, now what we can do is I can just duplicate this layer once again and take it up. And I can also use this shape for color correcting the lips. So I can just go duplicate this, get this thing up, and maybe I can go inside this, go to the mask, and I can delete the mask one. So we just have the lips now. And now let's come down over here. Let's say take the alpha of this, then we can come to this layer. Same way we do color correction, just say curves, add a curve on this particular footage. Now I can brighten this, darken this, do whatever I want. Let me check. Oh, okay, maybe because the subtract is on, let me just make this thing add. So only this portion gets affected. And now I can go back to this layer, then I can go back to the red, maybe reduce the red, make the lips darker. Also, I can add a bit of feathering in this because it's creating a hard shape. So I can just go to this mask, press F on the keyboard, just give it a bit more feathering so that we do not have the hard edges over there and the blending happens more proper. And this is what we have done for this entire face. And I've forgotten two things is the upper lip and the lips have to be parented to the face track. So same way you have to go ahead and basically add in shapes and roto shapes for every other part over here. So I'll just show you what I have done. Let me just delete all this and let me turn off the shy layer. So if you see this, I have done a face masking over here. For all this portion, there is a separate mask for the forehead. There is a separate one for the nose. Like if you go to this composition, I have already pre-comped it. So everything is separate. See this? There is the forehead. Let me say Control Shift H. There is right cheek. There is right eye solid. Then you have left cheek, left eye solid. Then you have lips. Then you have the nose. Everything has been separated, and that's what we have used for doing the beautification over here. So it's that simple what we have done for doing the beautification. We just have to say use it as an alpha matte and that's it, done. But as I said earlier, it looks quite flat after the blur and all that. So what I've done is I have added a layer. Let me just turn this layer on. It's a white solid layer on which I have added noise, simple noise from the effects. Okay, and I've just upped it and I made the color mode of this as multiply, because if I do not make it multiply, I keep it normal and I see it with the entire composition that's taking over everything. So what I've done is I've just made this as multiply, and see this, the noise is now reintroduced back to the skin and now it looks no longer flat. Also I've added a adjustment layer and you can do sharpen over here, but I've removed it because it was looking quite bad. But then now the effect, the textureness of the entire face is back, and this is what we get from this to this. So this is a very creative way of using rotoscoping for doing a digital makeup. Hope you guys liked it. Do let me know if you have any reviews, any comment. But this is what we have done in this series. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until we meet next time, thank you.